Hey y'all, I'm Blaine Phillips.
And I'm Phillips-LeVan.
We're married, like just a minute ago, but we've been together for 14 years.
We have a teenage daughter.
Which means she's basically an adult, right?
We're also growing a business on the side together.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Through all of that, we've learned how to improve so many aspects of our lives and show up in an amazing way.
So we decided to host a podcast to share our journey with you.
It's called Let's Do Life Together, because that's just what we want to do with you.
So if you could use some tips and tricks on how to make life a little smoother,
then you're in the right place.
come on in and let's do life.
Well, hello, and welcome back. We're halfway through April already. That seems crazy, huh? Which means we are halfway through our spring cleaning series, which I gotta tell you is kind of fun. If you missed the episodes, go ahead and check back. We talked about how to spring clean your marriage. We talked about some quick tips for how to spring clean your health. And today we're going to talk about how to spring clean your relationship with your children. 1, 2, however many you have. How many do we have? Oh boy, we have 3. That feels like a lot sometimes, but not at the same time. I don't know. But we have 3. 1 that lives with us full time and 2 that do not. But we still have 3 children in total. And it's been an evolving process of, their ages now, they are all in their teens. Holy bejeez.
You're old.
No, you're old. You're the father of all of them. That makes you old.
But we're going to talk about some tips I think can apply to all ages and all dynamics.
Yes, because they're changing always, just like we are. They're evolving into new people, so are we, and we want to stay connected with them. That's the biggest message of all, is just making sure that we stay connected. So these are some just things to get you thinking, tips that you can use that will help you just spring clean those relationships with your kids. You ready, Jason? You want to dig in?
Let's do it.
All right. So when we were writing this episode and thinking about what we wanted to talk about, I just would think back to this story. Sienna is not really a shy kid. Let's just call a spade a spade. She is a talker like me, not Jason. It's true. She's always been a talker. And one thing that I'll say we are super thankful for, and that is she's always done a good job of telling us what goes on in her school day. Think about it. That's a big chunk of time that your kids are away from you. And when they're younger, that's the biggest thing happening in their life. Pretty much, period, but definitely away from you. They are meeting new people. They're getting new experiences. They're learning new things. That's a point of going to school, right? And so there's a lot to tell. And I've always had the blessing to be able to drive Sienna to school, which I do not think it is dependent upon that, but I know that that's a blessing. I drive her to and from school, and picking her up was always the best part of my day because she's fresh. She's right out of school. It would be the same right off the school bus. I don't know, but I think it would be, but she's fresh out of it and she's ready to tell me. She was never the kid, which I know there's lots of kids out there that how was your day? Okay. What'd you do today? I don't know. Any troubles? No. That was not Sienna. Sienna would get in the car, and before I would even have to start questioning, she was all the things.
I think that was me, though. Those are probably my answers.
I don't know.
Okay. Fine. Nothing.
Those are still your answers.
That's true.
That's probably true. Those definitely were his answers, but that was not her. She would tell us, and still does, 13 years old now, in 7th grade, and from kindergarten on, she would tell about herself and what they learned that day and what was exciting and what wasn't and who had what for lunch and who got in trouble that day and who had a great day and whose outfit was cute and that headband looks great, all the things.
Yeah, I say she talks at you for however long.
That's true. She just, you're listening. She doesn't know if you are or not, but she's just going to tell you, which I look back and sometimes you're like, oh my goodness, she just keeps talking, but it's good. I love it. There have been times, I'm not kidding, where parents have called me or texted me and said, hey, can you tell me what actually happened at school today? Because I heard this, but my kid can't remember, or my kid wasn't paying attention, or My kid has no idea what the homework is. Can Sienna tell me what happened? Or can you ask Sienna for this or that? Because she has become known as the kid in the circle who does tell it. And that's important. I never want that to end. And we try to keep those lines of communication open. And I pray that that will remain the same. Is she going to tell us everything? No. Has she always? No. She forgets, or there's things she holds back, I'm sure, or there's things that she's filtered and decided to tell us. But as I stand here today, I feel pretty good. I would say, I'm not going to say exceptional, but I would say I feel pretty good about our lines of communication with her and in her everyday life. And that is something that I treasure and something that I hope that is true for you. And if not, I hope today these 5 tips will kind of give you some ideas to think about and maybe move forward and open up those lines of communication even more.
Right. So like the past 2 episodes, we're just going to touch on 5 different things that can spark conversations or just kind of plant the seed and get you thinking about these different aspects. So starting off with number 1 is really to just freshen up with what are their current interests. So don't, kind of like in the past, don't assume that because they were into, Barbies, now they're still into Barbies or whatever the thing is, especially in the younger kids. Their interests are gonna change quickly. I guess all kids, their interests are gonna change pretty quickly. Some of which is gonna be much more obvious because that's the thing that they're talking at you about all the time, or that's what's coming out of their what do they have now? They don't have an MP3 player. They're coming out of their smart speaker and their earbuds and things like that. Or it's the book that they're always reading or the series that they're always talking about. So
the things that are making it on their birthday list and Christmas list, like what are they interested in? Don't assume. And that can mean having a conversation with them about it, asking, or just paying attention. Like Jason was saying, like, what are they listening to? What are they reading? What are they watching on television at the moment? Because those are their interests. I can tell you, Sienna has been, for years, this one's a lasting one. She is a diehard Harry Potter girl. She loves all things Harry Potter. She's read all the books multiple times, seen the movies, done the things, been to Harry Potter World, and she loves it. It's never a topic that she doesn't enjoy talking about. So I can always default to something Harry Potter. Have I read the books? No. Did I see the movies? Yes. Am I super Harry Pottered out? Nope. I can't keep up with her. I don't know trivia. It wasn't my jam, but I know it is to her. So I've been intentional about learning things over the years or paying attention when she's listening and just trying to remember those things because I know that it's important to her and it's a common ground that I can come back to if I'm looking for a subject that I know will get her excited and we can talk about something. All things Harry Potter is hers.
Yeah, and when Abby started getting into Harry Potter, I read the books, so just to have that kind of connection. And you don't have to go all in to their interests, but I think it's important to get some exposure to the thing that they're into, so you have a common dialogue, so you know what they're talking about, and then you also know kind of what they're experiencing.
Yeah, that's a great thing. I mean, Sienna is in love with musicals. I was never in love with musicals. Like, I don't know musical soundtracks and things. I didn't see that, and it's not that I do now. I don't. I'm not going to download all the musical soundtracks that she has, but I pay attention. And when she's listening, I'll say, oh, is that from this? And you just become interested in what she's interested in. It doesn't mean, like Jason said, you need to go all in. If your kid's all about Fortnite, then maybe you want to know a few things about Fortnite so you can have a conversation. I'm not suggesting you need to play Fortnite or whatever it is, but from Polly Pockets to La La Loopsies to now the Hamilton soundtrack, it's changed. But just knowing what they're interested in and then developing a little bit of common interest with them so that they can see that too. She loves it when I pull out a Harry Potter reference because she knows I'm not a Harry Potter nerd like she is, but she knows that if I have some reference to it, it's because I care about her, and that is important to them. If you sit down on the floor to play Army Guys for an hour and you have some knowledge of their Army Guy, it means a lot to them. So I think that's important. Tip 2. This one is big for our family, and I really think it's important for the world. We talk about this many times on the episode, but we're a digital world. I get it. We have our phones, we have things, but there is a time for no technology. Like there's a time for technology-free zone where you just plug in together as a family, whether that is a board game or a walk at the park or just dinner around the table where no phones, no iPads, iPods, computers, televisions, all the things. There's no technology involved in just that one-on-one time. It's kind of invaluable. Jason actually has controls on Sienna's phone that it allows it to, she cannot use it before a certain time in the day, and it stops at a certain time in the day. And that's important. We do that for many reasons, but a lot of it is sleep. They need sleep, and they don't need their phones in their room, and they don't need to wake up and touch their phones right away. I mean, we give her the same parameters as we do ourselves. We technology free and keep the world out until you put the goodness in your brain. So is that an app? What is it?
So we have those, digital wellness or digital health kind of rules and guidelines to go by. But I think for this context, it's really about just intentionally unplugging. So we could, the technology would allow us to stay connected. The apps are still available. She still has screen time, but it's more about, all right, this is the time set aside, and we're intentionally unplugging so that we can just interface in person.
No one says interface. That's not a thing that anyone says. Oh,
it's like FaceTime, but without the screen. Right?
I think that we would just encourage you to look at it. Is that some time blocks in the day? Like, do you just block it out that from 7 to 8, we as a family? No, that means you, dad, kids, everyone, we as a family are unplugged. Or is it at certain zones of the house? Like phones aren't allowed in the dining room because you guys always gather, you make it a point to gather around the table, and when you do. Or phones aren't allowed in the living room when we're doing family. Like, is it a zone in your house?
It could be the ride to soccer practice where you say, okay, this is, 15, 20 minutes of, we're just going to talk about things.
Yeah, whatever it is, just look at it and find those pockets of time or spaces where it's technology free and you are just interacting face to face, not through a screen and not being interrupted.
Right. And what you'll do then, it becomes a habit. So then maybe the kids has something they want to tell you. Well, they know that there's going to be this block of time coming up where nobody has their screens, so they're unplugged. So, hey, I know I'm going to have mom's undivided attention when we go to soccer practice. So it just opens up those opportunities. Make the space for that to happen.
That's a good point. Number 3, it's spring. We're talking about spring cleaning, right? Guess what? We want you to go outside.
I think we said this every time, probably.
I think so. It's about your marriage and your health and everything. But go outside and take a walk with your kids. Reconnect with them. Maybe that's your unplugged opportunity, but just walk and talk. Talk about what you see in the neighborhood, what's blooming, what's happening. Do you see baby geese yet? Because the Canadian geese here will start to have their babies soon, and there'll be little gray babies following them around.
You can appreciate the colors and the sounds and the smells, and kind of goes along with that digital detox. You're just getting more in tune and more mindful of the present and where you are, and just experiencing the moment.
and you're getting vitamin D and you're doing all the things. And kids love to be outside, or they should. And they would love for you to go take a walk with them, kick the ball around the yard, toss the ball, whatever it is. But it's a simple one, but it's a reminder. It's spring. It's nice. We can come out of hibernation and we can get outside and see the things that are blooming. Go to a farmer's market and talk about what is in season right now. Like whatever it is, just get outside.
And the next tip, I think we actually have a blog post about this, and we kind of touched on it with the technology-free time, but using the car time, that it happens all the time. Like there's lots of opportunities where it's everybody in the car going somewhere. Like that's the world we live in. We get in our car and we go, and lots of times everybody except for the driver has their screen in their face. So use those conversations, or use that opportunity for conversations. And I think the post that and we'll make a link to this, but you can have conversation starters. Like we've got these little containers that have conversation prompts. And, so I think it's easy to get in that habit of just a routine thing. So, all right, pick the kid up. How was your day? What did you do? What's your homework like? How's practice? What did you guys work on? All the same things, and it's just routine. Well, if you introduce just new prompts, that'll just spark different types of conversations and bring things out that you wouldn't have uncovered if you just stuck with that kind of routine talking points.
Yeah. Listen, you have a captive audience in there. They are literally strapped and locked in. They're not going anywhere. Whether you're driving them to school, picking them up, a doctor's appointment, any kind of athletic practice, whatever it is, chances are you're in the car at least 10 minutes a day with your kids, and they can't go anywhere. They can't do anything. And I know sometimes you just want to crank up the tunes and let them look at their screen or read a book or whatever it is, but have some consciousness about that and do your best to refrain. Turn the radio off. I mean, or maybe sometimes turn it on and just have a fun jam session with them, playing some oldie and having a fun time with it. But turn the radio off. We actually have no screens. Like I don't allow Sienna to use her screen or read a book unless we're on a road trip. She will read or do a screen. But just for our around town daily stuff, that is my time to talk to her. Sometimes they're meaningful. Sometimes it's not. We're just talking about the cars that are going by and wow, who drives Teslas? And that's a cool car. And how do they open those doorknobs on a Tesla again? Like whatever it is, you're just talking to them. So it's just a good opportunity to really dig in. And like, I just feel like they're not going anywhere. They can't get away from you, whether they're in the back seat, the front seat, whatever, they are strapped in. And if you're looking for things to talk about, like Jason said, check the blog post. I show you literally the jar that we keep in each of our cars. Jason has one and I have one, and they have different little pieces of paper for conversation starters. And you can do that for all ages. I just Googled it and I talk about the whole process on the blog post. But that's number 4, utilize the time in the car.
And another good question to ask as a follow-up is why. So if you ask, whatever the answer is, okay, why? Why is that the answer? Why do you say that?
They've asked us that for years and years, right? Every time you give them an answer, why? Why? Why can't I? Why is that? Well, turn it around on them. Why?
Right. Could be anything. Do you like the song? Yes. Okay. Why?
Yeah.
What specifically?
That's a good point. And the last one, we're going to wrap it up, which I think is very timing because we just did this last night, and it is to volunteer together as a family. Oh, man. You want to spring clean your relationship with yourself, with your spouse, with your kids, with anybody, go out and serve in the world. There's nothing that can quite change your mood or just in general make you feel better and grateful for things when you do something that is completely unselfish and just giving back to your community and those around you. Last night, we volunteered as a family for this local event that is hosted here once a year. It benefits the St. Jude's Children's Hospital. It's always a fun event. There's good food and wine and people and a silent auction, but we volunteered to serve there because it's an important event and it just feels good. It feels good to welcome people and be around people who are giving, and Sienna loves it. That we actually made a vow this year. It was one of our, it's a resolution, a goal, whatever you want to call it, for our family to serve at least once a month together as a family. And if we do more, great, but at least once a month. And we really try to diversify what that is. And so far, we are 4 months into the year, and we have managed to hit our goal each month, from food bank to St. Jude to other things. We've done different things, and each time you come away with such experiences. And Sienna, you can see it. Like, she has things to talk about. Like, did you notice this person, Mommy, and how they needed that thing? Or did you notice that it's how cool that Panera donates all that bread? I didn't know what they did with it to that food shelter or food bank, I guess it is. And it just. Right.
So sharing those experiences enhance your connection, for sure. So, and one thing we do with volunteering is anybody can suggest the next place to volunteer. It's not just the parents dictating, this is where we're going to go, this is what we're going to do. Here, kids, do this thing. Everybody has input.
Yeah, if your kids are super interested in being around the water, then go volunteer to clean up the bay together one day. Like, let the kids be involved, or pay attention, go back to paying attention to their interests, and then find things that in ways that you can serve that would relate to their interest. It's just like you're doubling down then, something that they think is cool. They're really into baseball. Well, you could probably find some way that would serve baseball related things. There's always great opportunities to give back. And I know that financially giving back is important, but getting out there and putting your hands to the work and interacting and interfacing with the people in your community, you're going to meet new people. You're going to be inspired by it. You're going to share an experience and have something to talk about. And it just builds your whole family from the inside out. I can't say enough about all the benefits that come from volunteering. So that is our fifth and final tip. To recap, it's just learn about their interest, know what they're into at the moment, and do a little research so you can have a connection with them about it. Build in technology-free time to your family. It is so important to just unplug, both for you and them.
Yeah, and get outside and do some walk and talks, just around the block, around the park, wherever. Just go have those conversations in the car. Make sure you dedicate that time and just set the boundaries. This is where we're going to talk. So set that expectation.
And then look for ways to volunteer together. We're always changing. Like I said in the beginning, we're evolving, they're evolving. So you're going to need to reevaluate this. This is just a reminder that it's spring in another area. We can spring clean, but you might need to have the same conversation or same relook when summer rolls around, because school will be ending and interests will be changing and they'll be into different things. And how can you maximize the summer and the fall? And they had a birthday and they're different. I mean, Sienna is different now than she was 6 months ago. So am I. So are you. So just keep evaluating that and stay connected. That's the most important thing. I always see this quote and I think of it so often that I don't know how the quote goes. I don't know who said it. It wasn't me. It's not my idea. But the point is, it's better to be interested than interesting. And I think that's true with our kids, with our spouse, with everybody that we are around, is just be quiet. Interesting is you there trying to tell your stories and what's going on in your life. And interested is being quiet and listening and what do they have going on, and show genuine concern. So do that same thing with your kids. Be interested and not so interesting. All right. Until next week.
Yep. So next week we'll wrap up our spring cleaning series. Tune in. See what that's going to be about.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Man, I can't believe we'll be finishing up April next week. Hope you guys have a great one. We'll see you then.